Hello.
Hello. How are
Good
you?
evening. I'd like to start with a double apology.
Okay.
One, to Arsenal. I was utterly convinced they would lose today.
Right.
And secondly, I'm not wearing black.
Oh.
And I feel like I've let some fashionistas down by not wearing black
Have you worn black all the time?
every single time.
Oh.
I just generally don't wear much other than black.
No, unless it's an Arsenal top. I must admit, I'm pretty much the same.
Yes, I have at school. I have a black tie, which is on a black shirt, which goes nicely with the black jeans and the black belt and the black
It is.
trainers.
The more we find out about each other, it is so weird how many similarities there are. Because I've got literally a reputation for being the teacher who wears all black.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I mean, I don't get away with the black jeans. I do wear trousers.
Yeah. See, my black jeans, they're
smart jeans.
to the no, well, I wouldn't go that far, but to the kind of the mid-distance eye, they could pass as trousers, sort of. It's only up close. And I tend not to get up close to any other teachers, or certainly not any SLT or head teacher. And if there are any of them listening now, I do apologise. I'm obviously talking a load of nonsense. Anyway, so you stayed for the lap of appreciation. What do they call it?
The lap of appreciation.
Yeah, because we didn't win anything. It's been a while. And what was that like?
Surprisingly positive. There was a bit like with Granit Xhaka's substitution, there was a lot of reading into things about, why are they doing this? Why have they got so many family there and all this kind of like nonsense? But actually, generally, really positive. Everyone knows how close it's come and how annoying and frustrating it is to see the yobs down the road get it. But everyone feels generally pretty good and knows that there's progress being made.
It's like you said, maybe before the game started, that we've already processed fifth place. It wasn't a disappointment on the day.
No.
As such, it was a disappointment a week when we lost 11 days ago when we lost to Spurs.
Yeah.
That was the kind of kicker. You'd believe firmly that sealed our fate then. I still fancied we could go to Newcastle. Well, hoped we could go to Newcastle and get a win, which would have been enough in the end.
Well, I hoped, but
I
didn't genuinely believe it. I felt that there's still that. We talk a lot about the improvements that have come to this side and the way we do things, but there's still that element of getting over a defeat quickly.
Yeah,
that's lingering, because it can't be a coincidence that those spells, we had the United and Everton game in the autumn, we had the terrible run of 3 with Palace, Brighton and Southampton, and then the 2 together.
Well, also the first 3.
And the first 3, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the opposition there were a little bit different. Away to a promoted side, and then City and Chelsea. But yes, that is. I think that's symptomatic of a young team. Really, that kind of inbuilt resilience isn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
And you know, the experiences this season will actually serve to like kind of improve that going forwards.
One would hope.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Europa League football was the target at the start of the season. There have been various points you've just kind of identified them where perhaps Europa League qualification was very much in the balance itself, let alone Champions League qualification.
Absolutely.
And a season in the Europa League is probably a good next step in our kind of development.
Because there's also a worry. It's not to belittle the Europa League, but there's also an element of, and I still can't believe I'm referring to the wise words of Jamie Redknapp, but
said no one ever.
Champions League qualification might have come a bit too soon. These are young kids that are going out there. Yes, it would make us absolutely stronger for bargaining and transfers. Of course it would. But the way this owner and this club spend money, we wouldn't be able to get the reinforcements in to have a good crack at both while sustaining our league position. Whereas with the Europa League, one would hope that we can blood some of the young players that have been occupying the bench during this lean spell when everyone was seen out injured, as well as, any new signings that need bedding in, any older heads that remain in the squad. We could better use that.
And they'll be better equipped to step into the Premier League team if with those other added games under their belts. What was
lots of ifs, buts, and maybes though, really.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, you were saying something there, and I thought of.
Well, we were talking about the lap of appreciation, which you'll be pleased to know kicked off with a short rendition of North London Forever at the start. And that got everyone sort of going.
But you enjoyed that rendition at the start of the game, didn't you? It was rousing.
It's amazing how quickly I've been won over. It's the Ramsdale of generic indie songs, in that I assume I'm going to be disappointed when actually it feels right when it's there in front of me. So,
it was proper, like, rousing and tingling. I mean, I loved it since the second I heard it, as has been documented, and I was blown away by how successful and how quickly it's taken to and how it was one of those, in the kind of the dark end of Wenger's reign, there was an awful lot of online toxicity. And it took a long time for that to kind of filter into the match-going fan. And you quite rightly drew that kind of parallel between what goes on in the Twitter world is often very far removed from what goes on in the stadium.
Yeah.
But this was one time, and I must admit I was a little bit curious to see, the previous home game, the Leeds game, just how many people would actually be even remotely aware of what. Of this song, and because it had literally just been born as such in terms of on the kind of Arsenal fan psyche, but it was more rousing this afternoon even than the Leeds one. I just thought it's like, because it's really, I love it. I've got to say, we've got a Champions League anthem. We just need to be a Champions League club.
Well, fingers crossed. We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And you were talking about on the lap of appreciation, you're trying to read things into various bits and bobs. And one of the chats that we had was the substitutions. Like, I've just got it here. So Jack,
the boy who sits directly next to me said, "We never take Xhaka off." So is that him saying goodbye, as it were? Which
I don't think so. El Neni signed a 1-year extension, by the way.
This is what I've heard. Yeah.
So
just literally just now, having got home, about 40 minutes ago, looked at some messages on my phone. El Neni 1-year extension. Good. I like that.
So that suits me. That's another one less body we have to replace.
Bit of stability.
He
seems like he's a well-liked member of the group.
Yeah, and he's done.
Point where, just to say, Iwobi was obviously, he's familiar with a lot of the players still in our squad, and him and El Neni's looked like they embraced, really closely and spoke for a long time. So, El Neni seems like a positive role model, good ambassador, and do you know what? Has done a job for us.
Yeah,
and probably knows he's a squad player, and
has publicly stated that's not a problem for him. He knows he's at a brilliant club, a huge club.
Yeah,
he might have a word with Nketiah because Nketiah would do well to remember that as well.
Yeah,
it's a funny one. If we'd had the Europa League, would give someone like El Neni more games and allow him to come in and hit the ground running rather than take a game or two to get up to speed. And that would be the same for Lokonga as well. Like Lokonga was out; he'd have played some European games, and he would have been more match ready. Was it the Brighton game? What game was it that he was played against?
I think it was Brighton. It was definitely a home. So yeah, because Palace and Southampton are away. I didn't do either of those.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, Pepe, we think that's Pepe's swan song. Lacazette, we're assuming.
Well, Lacazette and Leno are the definites. There's no way either of them stay whatsoever for me.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much been assured by the fact that we're buying this Matt Turner, the American number one
goalkeeper. Yeah.
So Leno will go, and we'll have a backup for Ramsdale.
Right, that's what I remembered. I've got to jump in, otherwise I'll forget it again. Arteta, I think I've just forgotten it. Arteta said in his post-match interview, and I haven't looked at all of it, but he said that the decisions have been made with regards to Nketiah, Lacazette, and
Leno.
I'm not sure who the third one was. Nketiah, Lacazette, and Pepe. It might have been.
Right.
I'm not sure who the third one was, and he said it's just been difficult to communicate it with the players yet. And it was a bit of a curious wording, but I think what he meant was that they'd decisions had been made, but they're just not sat down to formalise those decisions. I think, but I think those decisions have been communicated, but it's just not been kind of. Which, if you want to read into it, could suggest that there's contracts to be signed, i.e., that would point to Eddie's in particular. And I thought he had a really good game today. I thought he second half he flitted in and out, but he scored his goal in the first half. He made a nuisance of himself. I noticed how many times he really did kind of intimidate, and that's the wrong word, but like ruffle the two centre backs.
Yeah,
in a way that we haven't had this season. I don't know how tall he is, but I had the impression he was quite small. But actually, he looks like he's got a bit of a presence live on the pitch, but on TV he just doesn't look. And conversely, I think I can't believe how short Cedric is. It surprises me every time I see him. It gives me hope.
We spoke a bit ago about the whole the North London Forever song. Being this crossover between the Twitterverse into the stadium. Do you know about the whole Cedric photo bombing or celebration bombing?
No, I heard something about that today. So what is it?
My friend Pete we travel up on the bus together or down on the bus together, and he was showing me he's been obsessed with this, and I've been like, what are you talking about? But today, obviously, what tends to happen, and he says it can't be a coincidence, it is a thing where another player scores, the first player usually over to celebrate, bearing in mind he's the fullback, is Cedric. And what Cedric tends to do is copy the celebration of said player. So today, Gabriel's give it the whole bow and arrow.
Yeah, I saw Cedric do that.
Cupid's arrow up to his thing, and Cedric knelt down and did exactly the same thing. And if you go on Twitter and type in Cedric photobomb, there's just picture after picture of Arsenal celebrating, and Cedric is just there all the time. To the point where obviously there's some funny photoshopping going on with some of them as well. And he's turning up on the moon and, in various other places as well, which is really funny, but it just made me laugh. And then I got the chance to tell my mate Pete about, do you know the whole David May Man United treble celebration photos? Well, if you type in David May treble celebrations, what you'll see is when United won the treble in 1999.
I blacked that year out.
Sorry, yeah, but the Champions League photos at the top of this like player pyramid, you know, holding the cup aloft is David May. Of all the players, you know, involved. I'm not sure he even kicked the ball in the final, and he's just there, like looking like the king of the world. It's so funny.
He knows he's lucky. He knows how lucky he is.
Oh, he's in the best place in the world. No, I get that, and I totally, you know, I'm not putting down, you know, the fact that he's celebrating. It's just a funny thing that someone has noticed that he's there, and Cedric was exactly the same.
Yeah, it was obvious today that with the Cupid's
center
bow, that was good. But they were, I mean, they had their two sets of families were in the boxes up there, so they celebrated their goals in front of us.
And then the rumours start. So again, my friend Pete is a big fan of these various rumours and things that goes around. So he said to me, "Did you think it was suspicious that Gabriel had so many of his family there? Do you think he's leaving?" And I'm like, mate, his family live in Brazil. He's probably not seen them for months. Come over for the last game, and then we can fly off to any part of the world and go on holiday. That's what that is. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're probably right."
yeah. There was a short answer to that. No, I don't think he's leaving.
I bloody hope not. I know Chiellini's retiring, isn't he, from Juve? But
he's going. Yeah, Chiellini's going to America, the MLS, isn't he?
Well, where, you know, the retirement village of football.
Yeah, the last big cash in.
Yeah, well, yeah. I suppose he's got some scruples. That's slightly less bad than going to some kind of, you know, oil-rich petro state and doing it there.
Yeah. So it was quite I've driving in this afternoon. I was a little bit unsure as to what atmosphere I'd be met with. The sun out helps, obviously. Had there been a rainy, grey, miserable day, mood might have been different. I don't know that it would, though. I think we had time to process. Nobody realistically thought Norwich would get anything other than a thumping at the hands of Spurs. But actually, the atmosphere was really good in the concourse quite early on. And when we noticed down the clock end, the Ashburton Army, they were proper going for it. That made me pang for yesteryear, and being in the clock end myself. That looks like it was a lively atmosphere there.
I'd like to know if it was organised by the club, but when I entered into our block or walked through the concourse in the North Bank end, there was a bloody brass marching band going through. There was a guy with a big like tuba, and a drummer, someone obviously with a sort of snare drum, giving it large, and there was like loads of chants going on. So, you know, I'm assuming that was organised by the club, because there's no way you're getting a tuba.
You know, they'd spot that. Yeah.
Getting they still won't find it if they patted you down. Like, they don't find all these players. Have you got anything on you? Yeah. Okay.
It's a throwback to the 70s, and I don't know when the marching band at Highbury started and ended, but I remember it. I remember the marching band there. So it certainly went on as late as 82 when I started going first as a kid. The marching band, that used to be great.
So you'll remember, because I, being too young, far away and poor, I never really I did Highbury, you know, enough to say I went. But isn't there like some guy used to sell like horse chestnuts or something?
Yeah, that's right. I thought you might say that. Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the things that I've read about, and
I remember that.
Back into the history.
Yeah. That's the smell. If you go to Oxford Street or something, you sometimes get these people selling the roasted nuts and the chocolate thing, and you get a kind of an olfactory sense back to like,
feels very Victorian, doesn't it?
Yes.
That kind of
thing. we were known as the Establishment Club and the Bank of England Club, and we very much had that. There's the Arsenal way. which is the right way of doing things, apparently.
Well, we're still being relatively frugal. I know we're the Bank of England club, but
nobody spent more money than us last summer, as in net spend. So
yes, but lots of people, there's spending a lot of money, and then there's spreading it around. I don't know. When Chelsea spend 90 million on Lukaku, when Man City spend whatever it was, 100 million on Grealish, to say, well, Arsenal spent the most, it's like, no, Arsenal filled out their team. They bought at least 4 starters.
Because those two clubs are starting from a far higher foundation. We're like trying to get up to fingernail claw our way up to their feet.
And I think it will take 2, maybe even 3 more summers of those kind of transfers, always trying to upscale. I think you mentioned to me early doors in Arteta's career that he almost wants it to be like Guardiola, where you've got 2 first 11s of absolute quality, or the highest quality you can possibly get.
Yeah.
Rather than having a big squad of lots of kids, some, very cheap sort of like, makeshift players and this, that, and the other. No, better to have 2 full 11s that you can just interchange how you want. And I feel like that's something we're trying to get towards, but there's got to be so much churn in order to get there that, this summer's got to be 4, 5 players.
Well, we'll do a couple of podcasts shortly to go into this in more depth. But for me, I'm looking at a 20 to 30 goal a season striker and an experience is the key, experienced central midfielder. And I have a name for the midfielder. Tielemans would be great, like a proven winner. With Leicester experience, he's young as well, considering the amount of experience. He scored a goal in the cup finals against Chelsea, so he turns up on the big day. He's got a year left on his contract. The money could be attractive to us as well. That's that kind of. He's physically big as well, and if you think you've got him, Xhaka, Elneny, Partey in central midfield with Lokonga there as well. That's not a bad upgrade on where we are today.
Do you know what? I'm gonna. I hate to go negative, but it's where my brain's gone. First of all, he would walk into Tottenham's midfield, and they've got the carrot of Champions League.
Yeah, we're still a more attractive club than Spurs.
Do you think?
Yeah, Conte, even after today, still won't guarantee his future. He's still saying it's
he knows he needs still 4 or 5 players.
Yeah, and he knows he's not going to get backs for that.
No.
It's Spurs like us. We'd be in the Champions League looking to get out of the group stages, whereas we're going into the Europa League looking to win it. That's a different mentality. So Spurs, I don't know how many games the Spurs going to have. Do they have to play a qualifier, or are they straight into the group stages? I don't know. Right, so they're talking about 6 games plus the qualifier, so 8 games with the uncertainty over the manager. A team that's very, very top heavy. Son and Kane. I don't know. Obviously I would choose Arsenal over Spurs all day long. But I just think that we are still a big club. We've got a lot of pull, and we've played a lot. We've played a lot when we're punching this year. What was it? Spurs, Kane and Son have both got 20 plus league goals this season.
Yeah.
Let's compare their strikers with our strikers. I don't know how many goals Nketiah's got now, and I don't know how many goals Lacazette's got. But Nketiah would be well into his double figures had he played the amount of games that Lacazette played, for sure, and we'd be sitting in 4th place. But having said that, if Tielemans is the type of character that would choose Spurs over Arsenal because they finished 4th and we finished 5th, then good luck to him, because we don't want him. You know, it's we want people to buy into the bigger picture of where we're going at the moment.
And that's why, you know, I'm going to be hesitant to get involved in any transfer talk, because I wasn't blown away by the business we did last summer, which turned out to be, you know, quite pleasing, because we had players come in, make a real impact on the first team, you know, without, you know, I think we paid a relatively fair price for a lot of those players.
Yeah, they made sense.
Potential.
They made sense. It spoke to joined up thinking, which was something that an Arsenal fan we're not used to, which is probably why we thought they were like pretty ropey decisions to begin with, because we didn't trust the process. We didn't trust the people making the decisions. But funnily enough, now all I hear on Twitter is like, whoever Arsenal go for, I'm going to shut up and say, well, they've proven themselves now, as in terms of making the right choices. So yeah, like I suppose a conversation that me and you were having today about Gabriel Jesus at Man City. I would, if he turned out to be our only, and this is like, I mean, so quite arrogant as an Arsenal fan, I guess. If he turned out to be our only centre forwards going into next season with Nketiah signed up as well, I would feel distinctly underwhelmed by that.
Massively.
But then you said he's a great player. You've got to score goals in that Man City side, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, you have to. And he hasn't scored that many. He seems to have only scored his goals since he was linked with us. So I don't know. And we had a close-up look of Calvert-Lewin today. Oh, you can't. That's a very poor Everton team. That is.
It's a very poor Everton team that had nothing to play for. I thought he put himself about well.
He did.
Again, I think a signing like him, to me, would be part of a plan to bolster the whole attack. You know, I think some people might get distracted by a marquee striker signing, whereas actually we've got to look at a front line that's got to see us through the season. Because let's face it, if there are 20 goal or 30 goal a season strikers out there, we're probably not going to be in the market for them. What we're going to have to hope is that the 10 or 15 goal a season striker that we can maybe market for suddenly steps up, because Odegaard, because Saka, because Martinelli are creating more chances for them. Calvert-Lewin won his aerial duels, positioned himself more wide than I expected him to. I thought he would stick very central, and he didn't. You know, he moved on to those diagonal balls. Where
he was quite mobile, all right. Yeah,
he was a lot more mobile than I thought he would be. You know, but like you say, there's always going to be a question mark over any striker. Every signing is a gamble, isn't it?
Yeah, and he has his fitness issues this year would not be great. Would they be typical for us? So they would. And if Bellerin's not going to be here, we need someone to take on the fashion police, and Calvert-Lewin certainly do that.
The first thing I said about Calvert-Lewin is that he would take Bellerin's mantle.
Yeah. So I'm aware that we'll do a more in-depth chat when we've actually done a little bit of research ourselves, perhaps. Maybe looked at some stats and so on of a couple of likely candidates that we could pick up, both in midfield and attack. Beyond the striker and the midfielder, then it is about squad players. Now, I don't want to use that term squad players quite so dismissively. They're crucial.
Yeah.
The quality of our backup player has to be better than it currently is. The gap between the backup player and the first team player needs to be closer, which is absolutely why Saliba should come back. And we should not care if he starts or doesn't start. What we should care about is the pressure that Gabriel and Ben White will feel with Saliba sitting on the bench or Saliba in training. Now, if Saliba wants to go back to Marseille because he's not got the bottle for the fight, well, then he's not the player we hope he will. I want Saliba to come in and be absent and scream with everything he does.
Yeah,
I'm in this team. From the second he walks in the door, he carries himself, he trains, he plays. with the attitude that I'm in this team. I'm the number one. Not only I'm the number one centre back in this team, because then we'll have 3 players who'll be doing that. And
well, you talk about squad players. Look at the defence today.
Yeah.
You know, Suarez we know is very limited and can have games where he seems to, you know, be a little bit all at sea. Holding is solid without being spectacular. And I do feel that the Tottenham game, we do see less from him. You know, it was a shame that it happened when it did. But generally,
Well, it was the first game he'd ever committed 4 fouls.
Well, this is it. So I think the occasion must have just got to his head, or I don't know what it was. Maybe just, you know, it was that thing of Son just played on his mind so much that he felt he had to act and, you know, got it wrong.
Yeah, he was too proactive.
Tavares, who just, to me, just doesn't look like a footballer.
Yeah, that's like, he's a physical beast. He's an athlete.
And I remember, you know, the few brushes I had with people who went on and maybe had lower league playing careers because they were at our school or whatever, they were the athletes. They were the quickest or the tallest or the strongest, you know, regardless of their sort of technique and things like that. You know, I'm sure lots of them were good footballers anyway, but I do wonder if that's what's happened with Tavares, that he was the best athlete of his age group at every single one. And then he's got to this condition, and I don't know.
I think
a different way.
Yeah, technical side of the game is too much for him. I mean, having said that, some of his dancing feet were fantastic today, but then he gets into these positions. He creates these positions for himself, and he could have slid in a couple of other Arsenal players, and yet, you know, he's just going to swing his right foot at it, and it's going to go over the bar for a point.
Your use of the phrase dancing feet reminded me of Toy Story. It's not flying, it's falling with style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel
very
like,
good. Yeah, very good.
Like that sort of sums up.
Yeah, no, well done. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm far from.
No, I'm the same.
And it's either he goes out on loan or we use him differently.
But he's 20. Is he 22 or 23?
I don't know.
That development is late. So
is he better or worse than Kolasinac? I think he's worse.
Defensively, no question.
I think he's worse than Kolasinac. I think Kolasinac did more going forward. But Kolasinac could never get the both right. You know, he would get caught out. He'd either be up the pitch or he would just be at the back and not really.
And sure. I think Arteta. I mean, listen, he was a win-win signing. Really, we won't lose money on him, Tavares, and it's why I think we've been linked quite strongly with the Scottish guy at Bologna. Yes. Is it Hicks or something? I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Hickley,
yeah, maybe something. So I think that because he can cover both right and left back. In fact, he might have to cover both right and left back in the same game. Yeah, the way because Tomiyasu not in the squad today. Was Tomiyasu doing the lap of appreciation?
He was, yeah, all in black, along with.
God, he's just gone up even further in my esteem. Anyone not there?
Aaron Hickey, by the way.
Aaron Hickey. Right. He's only 19, I think.
He was born in 2002.
Yeah, he's 19.
How old do you feel?
Yeah. Well, it's not even a point now where I can say I've got injuries older than, because that happened years ago. I've got injuries that are 30 years old.
He might be the first player I've noticed then where when I'd left school then when he was born. I'd left school. Okay.
Yeah, so hang on. So Smith Rowe was born in 2000.
Oh, was he? Oh, I was still at school then. Yeah, I left high school at 2001.
2001. I left in 1991.
Nice.
Yeah, 91.
Mm.
I know. I don't look a day over 70.
Well, you've got a better hairline than me. Mine's covered by a lot of sweeping to one side.
Yeah, well, my joints scream 70. So
yeah, I'm all right on that one. Right.
So we scored 5 goals today. We haven't talked about them.
We haven't talked about any of them. Yeah, the first one was a bit of a surprise because I think it did just kind of hit Nketiah and go in. That was good. But
no, that was the second one. The first one was the penalty.
Oh, of course it was. Absolutely.
When we had that ridiculous. What was it? The Varsicle. Yeah.
And so the ball hits Iwobi's hand. It's relatively obvious, although it is on the other side of where
it's on the other side, but
the VAR guy, whoever it was, has watched that for a full, 3-4 phases of play.
Well, yeah, but the ball hadn't gone dead.
Why can't you just this handball stop?
Yeah, and he doesn't need why does the referee? I get it in like something the referee's seen and decided it wasn't, and then I get that getting the referee to referee the on-pitch referees to referee the game. I can understand that to an extent. I agree with your point though. There's a qualified referee watching it, lots of replays, go with their decision. I get that. I agree with that totally. But a handball, I mean, it's either a handball or it isn't. Like it's not. It's anyway. So. And Martinelli turned up. Why? Now, I have to talk about the bloke on the left to our right. I hadn't seen him before.
I assume he got his ticket on exchange or something like that.
Right, okay. So, who had put money, and I didn't ask him how much, he didn't tell me, on Martinelli to score the first goal and Arsenal to win 4-1. 33-1 were his odds.
Was that his odds? 33-1? Because we were trying to work it out on the bus because I told...
33-1 were his odds, and which seems like a bit mean.
I think they should be higher odds than that.
Yeah. Martinelli.
Cookies for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean 4-1 at home to Everton on the last game of the season is a popular result for us. We've done it before, but Martinelli to score first, it's like the gods were speaking, were working in his favour because Saka. Why is Saka not taking that penalty? But anyway. And he dispatched it really well. And it's nice to think that we've got 2 confident penalty takers in the team. I like that. Aubameyang, for me, never filled me with confidence. The fact he'd never look at the ball.
Oh, the one I was at...
the Spurs in the last minute at Wembley, that was...
Spurs away at Wembley was awful. Awful. I mean, their goal was offside anyway, which is neither here nor there. But it soured the atmosphere because... was that to make it 2-1? I think it was to make it. We could have won it.
Yes, and we'd have qualified for the Champions League had we done that.
Maybe so. But all I remember, my memory of that is no sooner had he missed, they start cheering in that pantomime way, and then coins start raining down on us from their bloody fans. It's just horrific. Oh, what a dreadful. But yeah, he looked at the keeper and not at the ball where his feet was. Didn't like that. Lacazette's always taken fairly.
Yes.
But obviously he's not likely to be about.
And then Nketiah scores from a corner. So we scored from 2 corners today. That must rank us pretty high in goals from corners because we have been doing well from them anyway. It was kind of a Bolden Adams homage, really. A flick on at the near post, and Nketiah did well. Was quite strong to hold his ground. He's been tugged, and he just nodded it into the far post. It was nice. Then we conceded a goal when I didn't even see it.
No,
I was looking at my phone. I know it's terrible, but I was looking at the other results elsewhere to see what was happening because every game is kicking off at the same time, obviously. And I looked up, and right in front of me, the ball was in the back of the net. I had no idea. So I've seen the replays on the big screen, but that's about it.
It just looked like there was no urgency from our players. They were all kind of very static, very casual, not asked, basically.
And then the first 10 minutes of the second half, you commented it was all very end of season-y. And then I'm not sure what happened. Dele Alli was obviously the pantomime villain today. It was great. He had a couple of air kicks.
I very much enjoyed Dele Alli's performance.
He was so bad.
He was a shadow. I described it. I messaged my friend and I said, The only thing I'm really enjoying in this game is watching the ghost of Dele Alli haunt the Emirates, because he was just...
I mean, he was once upon a time a very dangerous player.
Oh, annoyingly dangerous.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know what's happened to him. But he was like, he played like I would have played. It was like, has he won a competition kind of performance?
It was awful. I mean, is that a case of, it's one of those things. Yes, we have a lot of, back and forth, and there is that football banter. And I am aware that, these are human beings with thoughts and feelings. And you do wonder what is going on there.
Because it's been years. It's not sudden.
No.
It's been like no Spurs fan I know wanted to keep him or were sorry when he went.
No. Very bizarre, and at the same time, bought from MK Dons with a lot of promise, came into the Spurs team, had a spell where he was just one of the best midfielders in the league.
Was there a goal at Palace or Charlton he got where he lifted it over one and volleyed it? Like,
yeah, I mean, like, just unbelievable with that, Pochettino style and that Pochettino team with Son and Kane and everything else going on. And then, like you say, is it just a case of he was Pochettino's man and Pochettino got the best out of him? Because if so, that's very fragile in terms of a career and at that very top level.
You couldn't help but think that he must be he must be acutely aware of how he's playing, and it must be demoralizing for him if he can't. Can you imagine what it must be like to know how good you were and not be able to rediscover that?
But does that also come from he was never humble about everything that he did, and enjoyed the trappings of a rich footballer's life and all the kudos that comes with that. He was never a sort of wallflower type that would sort of hide from the confrontation and the controversy, and like you say, it's just his form has just fallen off a cliff.
I mean, I'm much happier if I think it's all because of his attitude.
Yeah,
which you kind of think it might be.
Yeah, but you do get that impression.
Yes,
it's so easy for us to say on our side, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was fun to watch today because of his past
I've never
glories.
Seen a performance like it. Alex Iwobi playing in a position that's not a natural one to him as a defender, did okay. He did what Iwobi normally does,
I loved that moment in the second half when he won the ball in his own penalty box, but he was facing his own goal and the guy in front of us shouted, "Shoot!" I wish sometimes I could think that quickly.
Yeah,
that was good. Was the Cedric goal the next one, the third one? The
lovely worked corner and lovely
we've tried that a couple of times this season. Where was the?
It's frustrating because the average football fan, and especially the average Arsenal fan, they want it lumped into the box, competing for it in the air. But there is an element of, we have these set piece coaches now, and they must look at our team and go, well, we're a bunch of bloody midgets here. So why on earth we would put the ball in the air for us to compete against? I don't really know. So actually, I can understand why often they do go short. What annoys me if they take a short corner is that they overplay it and then they lose the opportunity to cross and create any kind of angle.
Yeah.
Whereas that one, the quick sweep out so he can hit it on the go just worked an absolute treat. And
he absolutely caught. He'll not catch a ball as good as sweet again.
Yeah, absolutely sweet.
And then 3 minutes later, from another corner, we had Gabriel someone tweeted that he's now scored more goals than the generational Jadon Sancho this season. Which brilliant. Anyone who can deliver a dig at Man United's expenses is going to get airtime from me.
Well, yeah. I mean, they lost today, and that Man United's what?
Well, listen. Right. This is me and Manchester United. I'm already worrying about losing the Europa League final to them.
Oh, I've already said if we meet Man United in the final, there's no way I'm going. I mean, I usually can't go anyway because of the time of year it falls on. But I mean, God no. I hate meeting fellow Premier League teams in Europe. It's just the worst.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I was hoping West Ham would beat Brighton and Man United would lose, and West Ham would consign Man United to the. Hang on, I'm going to look it up. Are you looking it up?
What are you looking up?
I'm looking up the date for the Europa League final.
Oh, well, it'll probably be early June next year because everything shifts back for the World Cup, doesn't it? So we start early on the 6th of August.
It's on the 7th of June.
Oh,
do you know
that'll
be the second? That'll be the second weekend of the half term.
Second weekend of the half
term of May half term.
Is it a Saturday?
I must. Oh, sorry, that's the Europa Conference Leagues in Prague on the 7th of June.
No, Budapest, Europa League, Budapest. I already know.
Yeah, it doesn't have. It's got like the Puskas Arena Park.
Hold on.
31st of May.
Oh, that's half term.
That is half term.
Right, we're going to Budapest.
31st. 31st. Well, that's quite a catchy tune there somewhere, I'm sure.
What, we're going to Budapest?
Yeah, you could. Are
you thinking George Ezra?
Yeah, there you go. Right, I'm just doing a quick scoot on 31st. Oh, it's a Wednesday.
Yeah, so that'll be banging half term week.
Right, so that will be in the middle. Yes, because my birthday's 2 days prior. Now, before we get excited about that, my birthday fell on the Europa League final in 2019 as well.
Yeah, that didn't go so well.
Against Chelsea in Baku. And like
Baku
an idiot.
Of nowhere.
And like an idiot, I was there.
You were there.
Doesn't rank high on my best birthdays ever list.
No.
So, and again, I was mapping out my European finals. I don't have a good track record. Paris.
No, I'm starting to think it might be you.
Yeah, Paris, Copenhagen, and Baku. 3 for 3 I am.
That is not good.
No, it's not. It's not good. And I didn't go to the other Copenhagen one, was it? I think it was Copenhagen as well, wasn't it? The Parma game. Alan Smith. Wasn't that in Copenhagen?
Oh, 94, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go to that one.
No.
That's why we won it. So I'll have to think carefully. Obviously, if it's Man United in the final, I'm not going.
Well, I'll go on your behalf.
I'll take one for the team.
Not if it's Man United.
I'll take one for the team if it's Man United. If it's anyone else, I'll go.
Right. Okay.
Well, anyway, so we're clearly getting to the Europa League final. Excellent. Looking forward to that.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's who got the last goal? Oh, Erdegaard. I couldn't celebrate because the guy next to me had just lost all his money.
The guy's bet.
And I did feel genuinely.
You've got to think of it. He's lost whatever he put on it. He didn't lose the winnings. He never had the winnings.
Yeah, no. Gambling's emotional. That's not how he feels.
No, that is not how.
That's how he's trying to rationalise.
But that's not
how he feels.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I kind of was trying to reassure him beforehand when Lacazette came on. I said, well, he's not going to score. So that's good.
Yes, but he had a very Lacazette performance, didn't he? With a lot of effort and no end product.
Yeah. That was a beautiful goal, though, from Erdegaard.
That was sumptuous because, I'd say majority of players would have taken that first time when they had the chance. But no, he just takes that moment to dummy the one player, set himself, and then just bend it.
Pass it into the back of the net. It's like there was no power behind that shot at all. It was all precision. But
the defender, it was too much for the defender to get, and the keeper, even at full stretch, Begovic actually had a quite good game, I thought, in goal for Everton.
How old is he?
Yeah, he must be late 30s, maybe. Feels like he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
He made a great save. Not that he probably knew much about it in the first half, and then he smothered Saka's attempt from wide when Saka beat the last man, and then I seem to remember another shot from, I think, Martinelli on our side at the North Bank that he parried away. So he did what he needed to do to whether he's looking for a move or whether he's going to stay at Everton and play back up, I don't know.
So, yeah, that takes us to the end of the game, 5-1. We've talked about the lap of appreciation. I didn't hang around for it. I had to beat the traffic, get home, and it was one of my quickest journeys home.
Well, the only other things of note were the Everton fans celebrating when Wolves went ahead.
Yeah.
And then when Man City had come back to 3-2, and then ultimately at final whistle when they knew Liverpool had lost the tie, or hadn't won it, I should say.
Yeah, that was
they were having a whale of a time.
They were. And
why not? The pettiness of footbul fans.
Yeah, love it. That's what we're all here for that.
But they laugh at their neighbours for coming up, second.
You listen, and anyone who doesn't understand that, doesn't get football. That's
the tribalism.
Yes, absolutely.
We give it, we take it. It's all part of it.
I know tomorrow I'm going to cop it in the neck from the 2 caretakers and a few students, and I will smile outwardly but be plotting my revenge inwardly.
I had to be very sort of a bit subdued when I got to the services where I leave my car and then catch the bus from there, because obviously living in Norfolk, it was halfway between London and Norfolk. So there was a lot of Tottenham fans in there, one of whom I think is one of the members of the boy band Blue. I'm convinced that he was eating a Burger King. I'm sure it was him. I am one of those freaks who never forgets a face, and I mean never forgets a face. So I'm sure it was him, but I'm also not the sort of person to go over and go, "Oh, were you in the boy band Blue?" I'm not that guy. So there were a lot of Tottenham fans, and I really thought about giving it the big one, but I thought,
no, never worth it.
It all seemed relatively pleasant, to be honest. If it was a group of what looked like yobbish lads, every club's got them, I wouldn't have done it. But
yeah, no, obviously not. Right, so I think we'll wrap it up here, and what I'll say is we'll do a season review.
Yeah,
where we'll pick out our highlights, our best moments. The kind of, we'll do a whole series of kind of Q&As on the season and assess where it's going, and then we'll do a couple where we think what we would like to happen in the summer, or we'll go through the squad player by player, like sell, keep, sell, keep, maybe we'll see, and we'll drag some podcasts over the summer, and I must finally get my North Bank Meets stick together.
Okay.
Now I've had no glitches today, which is good. That's the level of professionalism I'm here for, because I'm plugged directly into the mains. I know that doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. So anyway,
that's it.
Thus brings an end to the inaugural half season of the North Bank podcast. I don't know. I think we've done 16 or 17 already.
And regardless, I'm never one for the limelight, but I have found some of these very cathartic.
Yes.
So,
there's some. I kind of liken it to trying to go for a 5:30 a.m. run in January.
Yeah.
It's the hardest bit.
A psychiatrist would charge £60 for this.
Yeah. The hardest bit is getting out, but once you're out and come back again, you feel a hell of a lot better. So there's been a few games I have not wanted to talk about. There's been a few games. It's actually forced me to watch more of the games I haven't wanted to watch.
If you were to do a very quick, and we might do a season review of ourselves, although that feels very meta. The game that stands out of wanting to talk about because it was so good would have been the Man United win. That was epic and brilliant. And then, obviously, I mean, after the Tottenham game, I was just broken. And that was a day after. We didn't even do it on the night. We did it the day after. I was broken after that.
You were visibly a shell.
I always say to people, and I always feel that there's a game towards the end of the season, especially when we don't win anything. Obviously, the recent FA Cup seasons and stuff, that hasn't happened. So that's been good. But in other seasons, when we don't win anything, there's usually a game that just kills it for me. And it just makes me realise, oh, yeah, this is all for nothing. It's all done now. And the first time I really felt it and really noticed it, because obviously I'd had my season ticket for the first time, was Atletico Madrid semi-final Europa League. But the first leg at home.
Yes. Yeah, no. They were down to 10 men.
When we conceded to Griezmann, having, they'd lost a man.
Yeah.
I just felt sick.
Oh, we should have.
I couldn't believe we'd. And I said, that's it now. Away goal, we're done.
Yeah.
They are the best defensive team in Europe. We're not going to go there and score 2 goals. So we're done. And I just felt like a shell of a person. And I had that same feeling after the Tottenham game. It was so horrific, especially after being so buoyant as well in the run-up. Those 3 games, Chelsea, Man United and West Ham.
Well, we'd won 4 games on the bounce. We beat Leeds as well.
Leeds? What about Leeds?
And then, I mean, look, we can go into that game in more detail again, but that's a rookie manager there. He decided to stick to our game plan, and he shouldn't. He should have changed.
I do not want to talk about that game ever again.
You've just talked about it for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, about us talking about it. I think we are going down some kind of loophole now. No,
right, let's leave that. Look, you've like thrown yourself back, head in hands. Oh dearie me. Right, we'll say goodbye.
2 points. 2 points. That's all it was.
I know. Well, even if we'd beaten Newcastle, we'd have been 4th.
Right. No, here's the thing. Right. So on the way home, and I don't know why I did this to myself. I just realised, because everyone was talking about the chances we missed. What about Spurs?
Wolves away. No, Leicester away.
No, what about Spurs, where they were 1-0 down
Leicester
at the 90th
away
minute and then beat Leicester 2-1? Yeah. What about the fact they took 6 points off Man City? What about the fact they drew twice with Liverpool?
Yeah.
None of it makes any sense.
No.
Any of those.
And their third top scorer?
Own goals.
Own goal.
Their third. It doesn't make any sense. None of us are any good. I don't know.
Having said that, we got more points than Chelsea got last year, and they finished 3rd.
Yes, I saw that in Arteta's post-match. We got more wins than Chelsea. Yep. More wins. Those draws.
More defeats than Brighton.
More defeats.
So it's draws. We need to turn some of those defeats into draws.
Yeah, and that is plan Bs, different tactics,
yes,
different
absolutely.
Players with different skills.
Yeah, options, strength off the bench. Yeah. Well, players on the pitch who can score goals. We create chances. We had 17 chances in the first half today. 4 on target. We scored 2 goals.
Didn't we? Yeah, 26 or something.
So. People who talk to me about these podcasts, they say that I say goodbye about 5 or 6 times before we actually end it.
Well, yeah.
And so I think we've done it again.
Fair enough.
I think one podcast, someone pointed out that it was about 22, 23 minutes when I hinted the first time we'd bring a kind of it must have been after a defeat, and that podcast went over an hour. So we managed to find another 40 minutes of stuff to talk about after we thought that would be it. But look, your light's flashing now. Your light's flashing. So
we've had gremlins in the electric.
That's last orders, that is.
That's the equivalent of a bell ringing.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to end this. I'm going to bring an unceremonious close to the season's post-match chats. Been a pleasure. We'll
emotional.
it's been emotional. Totes emotional, some nonsense like that. Okay, we'll be back soon, sooner than the new season. But yeah, here I want to click play to a montage of Arsenal's great moments, but of course I wouldn't have a clue how to do that. So you just have to imagine. Close your eyes, everyone, and just imagine it. There we go. All right, take care.
See you later.
Bye.